How's it going? Burnham Group here with William Raveis, Eddie and Yvonne Burnham. We're here today with Pedro, our in-house insurance agent. Just going to go through a couple questions with him about the insurance business, the ins and outs, things that would be nice to know. Give it to you here, Pedro.
Great pleasure. Thank you guys for having me here today. Of course, biggest topic is insurance, especially as we approach in hurricane season, or I'm sorry to say we are in hurricane season.
Yeah.
Very important for everyone to really know, hey, am I really properly covered or not? Do I have the right coverage? What do I need to add? What do I need to remove? So again, a lot of questions do occur during these times. So my goal here is to, again, educate you, the consumer and you guys, the real estate partners, to make sure that you guys know what to really expect during this season.
Thank you. So yeah, June 1st, we're already a few weeks into hurricane season, and Pedro is going to give us very specific pointers to prepare our homes so we're most protected, and then we're going to talk about insurance policies and what to do and what not to do. We'll also hear some great testimonials of how he has helped some of our agents and their customers. What physically can we do to best prepare our home as a consumer with regards to windows and roofs and furniture and gutters and all of that?
Yes, of course. The biggest important thing is don't really look at an aspect to try to save as much cost, right? Insurance is something that you pay for protection. God forbid your asset gets destroyed. So the biggest thing when it comes down to insurance companies nowadays is guidelines, appetite, if your property is qualifiable to be insured in the first place, right? The biggest thing that insurance companies look at is how well secured the property is going to be, and depending on those securities, how much actual credit you are going to receive at the end of the day. So as a homeowner, your biggest thing is, okay, this is my house, let me protect my house from anything that could possibly happen. By doing so, you're not only going to protect, your asset, but you're going to protect your family, and on top of it, you're going to get, lower costs. But the biggest thing that people really tend to focus on, of course, is the roof, right? Making sure that there's no damage to the existing roof. If you have a shingle roof, making sure that you don't have any granule loss, no missing shingles, which is the biggest exposure. Same thing with tile roofs. If it's cracked, the cracked tiles tend to cause problems because, again, any small amount of water that seeps through the tiles, then of course can cause future damage or even bigger damages down the road if not caught ahead of time. So making sure that the roof is good.
So just to recap, for shingle roofs, you want to make sure that there's no granular loss.
Yes.
And for tile roofs, you want to make sure they're not broken or missing.
They're missing, exactly. Of course, metal roofs, they're one of the best ones out there so far. Insurance companies really do give a higher credit because of it. Of course, more sturdier, more secure, but again, you do have deterioration that may cause issues down the road. So your thing is okay, I gotta make sure that my roof is in good structure.
And what do you think about gutters? I've heard that you potentially may not get coverage if your gutters are clogged and then there's water intrusion. Is that true?
Not that you won't get denied, but of course, it may cause issues down the road, right? Because if it is clogged, you're gonna have backed up water that could come into the house that could cause any potential losses down the road. Again, the biggest thing is to prevent losses from happening that can cause damage down the road as well. The gutters doesn't really deny eligibility. It's just, again, making sure that you're protecting your house from any potential losses.
Okay.
All right. Well, how important is it to have impact hurricane rated windows versus regular windows?
Well, of course, very important, especially in Florida, since we deal with a lot of wind damages. Hurricane impact windows are rated the best, right? So they do give you some credit, but sometimes you got to think about it: is the investment worth it as well, right? But don't look at it at a point of, okay, let me save for insurance. Think of it again: let me protect my house.
Right.
Hurricane impact windows have higher restraint of impact, so it if any debris or anything comes up and smashes the window, you're less likely to have a loss down the road, which again is the biggest thing. The more losses you have under your name, the less desirable or eligible you're going to be get for carriers.
Is it true that you only get a credit if every opening has the storm protection? Like, what if I've replaced all of my windows except for the sliding glass door on the lanai? Will I get that credit?
Unfortunately, I see this a lot, and no, you will not be able to get that credit. In order for you to actually be eligible for that credit, every glazed opening has to be hurricane impact window rated, even the one in the garage or the one by the side of, the one that's on the side of the door or right in the middle of the door, little window there, you have to get that rated impact rating as well
Okay,
in order
good
for
to
the credit
know.
to qualify.
Because sometimes I might want to replace my windows and doors, and I said, I'll just skip this one, but then I lose that whole credit. So you may just want to close them all.
Exactly, and it's very important, especially when you're looking at a home and purchasing a home, to make sure that all the windows are hurricane impact windows, because sometimes the seller might disclose, say, oh, we've changed the window back in 2020,
Right.
but just changing it doesn't mean that it is rated as hurricane impact.
I know sometimes the policies can be a little dense. Is there anything in particular homeowners should be looking at when they receive their policies? Anything regarding deductibles or anything like that?
The biggest thing that I've always confirmed and make sure that my consumers are fully aware is what's in the policy that you're actually getting and what is it that you're not getting. Florida is one of those markets where insurance companies want to be in, they want to insure, but it's a high risk state, right? We deal with hurricanes every year. So the biggest thing is that insurance companies have become very creative. They know we need to get insurance. People are constantly buying and selling houses. So they come up with ideas to exclude certain coverages or limit certain coverages that other states may have, but we don't have availability deal. The biggest thing is water damage. A lot of the insurance companies tend to put a cap on that, usually about $10,000 on water limits, minus your deductibles. If your AOP deductible was $5,000, you have a $10,000 payout, and you have a $40,000 damage, all you're really going to get is $5,000 back.
And so like if a dishwasher overflows or a washing machine or maybe a toilet upstairs, that's the kind of water damage you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not flood related, that's completely different. But
Okay.
yes, anything caused from that, again, you're limited to the amount of coverage you're going to get, which again may be attractive on paper because it is a lower premium, but then at the time of a loss, you're not going to have sufficient coverage. You're only going to get paid $5,000 from that, So it's very important to really understand, you're not only the company that you're working or the agency that you're working with, but the insurance company, their guidelines, what is it being covered, what is not being covered. And again, that's part of, the relationship you're going to have with your insurance agent, which is another important aspect when it comes down to insurance overall.
I was thinking about the replacement cost and actual value part of the policies. Can you explain that a little bit to us and help me to know what I have?
Yes, perfect question. And this I run into a lot because it's something that not too many people fully understand or know what that coverage is really for. So the biggest thing is full replacement value, right? It is an endorsement, so you do have to endorse the policy to add full replacement value. Now, these things are for your content. So if you were to add that endorsement, all it really means is that if you had a $5,000 couch, a fire happens and you lose that couch, you'll get paid your $5,000 or something equivalent to that amount. That does increase premium, but it guarantees that you're going to get paid back what you actually invested. If you do the regular standard actual cash value settlement, right, what that really means is you're going to get paid the depreciated value of whatever that item is. So if that $5,000 couch was lost today and it's worth $2,000 today, you're going to get paid the equivalent of $2,000 for that lost item. So it's very important to know whether you want that endorsement, which yes, it slightly increases the premium a little bit, but you're guaranteed to get paid out for something versus saving $300-$400 for the whole year and getting actual cash value settlement. But now you know that you're not getting your full amount of investment towards that. So that's very important to really identify within your policy whether you're getting paid actual cash value or replacement value.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And it's probably best, and correct me if I'm wrong, to video the whole interior of your home, all of your furniture, all of your personal stuff, so you have proof post-storm of what the condition was and what it was.
Exactly.
But if it could float away.
And very important as well, especially during your claim processing, right? Because the biggest thing is you want to give all the information to the adjusters handling that, so they know that, okay, they did have this couch, they did have this, they did have that. Right. It makes them easier to check off that list than to go back and forth with you trying to figure out what did you have, what did you not have, where's the proof, how do I know you had it? Right. The biggest question is how do we know that you did have it or not? And insurance companies love documentation, so the more documentation, pictures, lists, receipts, anything that you have to show proof will help you overall throughout the claim process.
What would you say is the biggest misunderstanding homeowners have about insurance during the hurricane season?
The biggest misunderstanding that they feel is that they think that flood insurance is covered under homeowners insurance policy. So going back to the water damage issue, flood insurance is completely something separate than homeowners insurance, right? If there's a leaky pipe on the draining system or refrigerator or anything like that, that's part of your home policy. But any waters coming from the outside going into the property is automatically flood. So meaning rising water levels. For example, let's say we have a rainy season of 7 days and 7 nights, right? Water levels start rising up and comes into the property. That's considered flood, right? That's where your flood portion has to pay out. Your homeowner's insurance would not pay out. So I feel like that's the biggest misunderstanding that people get because they think that, okay, home insurance just come all one package. No. Fortunately, it's two different policies, two different premiums, two different standards, two different claim processing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the different flood zones down here and how that plays in the insurance policy and stuff?
Perfect. Yeah. So in Florida, we do have 3 different rating factors, right? We have the A factors, which are the A zones, which are the ones that are right there on the coast. Okay. Then you have the V sections, and then you have the X zones, right? The X zones pretty much just means that you're not really in a mandatory flood zone area. It is more of a requirement, meaning that there might be a 1% chance of it ever flooding. The other 2 zones are the ones that lenders, right, homeowners and us insurance agents really have to look at, because then if the property is an AE zone or an AV zone, that just means that it has a higher possibility of the property being underwater, right? Because based off of their previous history, that property has incurred damages in the past, meaning that the chances of it happening now with stronger winds, stronger rain, stronger hurricanes, the chances of that property getting flooded are a little bit higher because it has happened before, right? So based off that rating factor, right, that's where FEMA will end up rating that property, determining on how much they actually have to gain from the insurance policy premium to be able to suffice to pay out if anything happens to that property again. Okay. So that's why premiums constantly keep going up every single year, not just because, they want to charge more. It's just with reinsuring costs, material costs, COVID made a huge impact. Building materials become more excessively expensive and labor than it was a few years ago. Right. So they have to keep up with that type of inflation as well.
Could you give us maybe 1 or 2 testimonials of how you have helped some of William Raveis' customers and maybe even the agents by reviewing their policy and kind of saying, we really should be, I think, reviewing our policy every year So can you just touch on maybe a few testimonials and how you've helped people?
Yes, please, and that's very important to mention. I would highly suggest to review your policies every single year. One of the biggest testimonies that I've had so far with my clients is on the renewal. Why I say it's very important to reshop it every year is because I generally had a client that came in, was referred by one of the agents. They've had an insurance carrier for almost 5 years, which is pretty normal standard nowadays.
Yeah.
But with a 5-year policy, the biggest problem that I noticed was the replacement value of that home. As materials costs, go up, just like the real estate market changes, material costs go up, value of the properties go up.
Right.
That means that if you don't, let's say, advise your insurance agent that you added money into the property, right? Let's say you went from a laminate countertop to a granite countertop. If you don't identify that material to your agent, they're not going to know to update the replacement value. What that means is that as the years pass by, the replacement value is going to be far less than what it is actually today. So that just means that people end up being underinsured at the time of a loss, and then when something really happens, right? God forbid something really happens, they find out at the last minute that they're not fully covered. Right, so the biggest thing is making sure that you reevaluate your policies every single year, especially if you added money into the property. Why? Because that keeps up with the replacement value that us insurance agents need to know to be able to properly cover your asset. Right, so that's one of the biggest things. In an agent's point of view, the biggest thing is communication. I've had several agents call me at the last minute where their clients had tried to secure insurance policy, but unfortunately, at the time of closing, that insurance agent never answered their calls or never sent over the binder, never sent over the invoice. So it delayed the closing, right? So the biggest thing that I've helped out the agents is, as you guys know, I'm 24/7 for you guys and for the consumers. So I had agents call me at the last minute, hey Pedro, I'm going to close today. We got about a 3-hour window. The agent didn't provide us the information that we needed. What can you do for me? And the good thing is everything is done in-house. The communication is so much easier to transition that, the lender called me and say, hey Pedro, I need this. This is my email. Boom, within an hour I was able to go ahead and issue the policy, get them to closing right before the actual deadline. That's one of the biggest things that I've noticed so far in the testimonial portion for the agents.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, go over some great insurance pointers and questions. And as we said, this is Pedro, our in-house insurance agent here at William Raveis, part of the Elite Concierge program we offer here. Spectacular program. We would love to share more information with you consumers about if you were to do some business with us. We hope to get you here in Southwest Florida. If you're already here, already know how great it is. And let's get through this hurricane season together, hopefully without a peep, and move forward and continue to enjoy Southwest Florida lifestyle down here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.